Hi, I'm Michelle Vaccarella-Wagner, and we're here today at Bio at the Puerto Rico booth with Secretary of Economic Development, Jose Perez Riera. Thank you so much for meeting with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Could you tell us what's been going on in Puerto Rico in the last year in the biotech field?
Oh, absolutely. This is the 6th year in a row that we've come to Bio International. This is an extremely important conference for us. Puerto Rico is the 3rd largest biotechnological manufacturer in the world, so obviously it's an important area for our economy. Because of that, we've been able to secure infrastructure investments from substantial companies such as Abbott, Merck, Eli Lilly, as well as Amgen, and ultimately we're looking at about $4 billion worth of investment that has taken place over the last few years. And recently, in fact, yesterday, we announced that Pioneer Hybrid is also going to be expanding its operations in Puerto Rico. That's in the agricultural biotechnology field. We're going to be seeing an employment increase of 100 jobs and $8 million worth of an expanded investment. And over the last 2 weeks or so, we also announced that Blue Pharmaceutical, which is a Kentucky-based biotechnology company, is going to establish its operations in Puerto Rico in order to manufacture generic drugs. We're talking about a $60 million investment in Puerto Rico, as well as the creation of 250 jobs. Puerto Rico has always been, at least over the last 40 years or so, a manufacturing powerhouse. And what we're doing is expanding into new areas so that we can make sure to attract those businesses that are expanding into different areas that perhaps hadn't been considered by Puerto Rico, or the companies hadn't considered Puerto Rico for. In that sense, what we're doing, this administration started at the beginning of 2009. What we're doing is making Puerto Rico more competitive. We're addressing the issues that traditionally have been obstacles to doing business on the island in order to make ourselves much more competitive with the rest of the states, as well as with other jurisdictions in the world. We have the advantages of being under the U.S. flag. We have the regulatory framework. We have the government constants and safety in terms of having a constitution, having the federal court system. So although we're not a state under the U.S. flag, we are a territory under the U.S. flag, and that carries certain certainty for the companies that want to do business in Puerto Rico. But besides that, we are addressing the issues that have been obstacles to doing business, such as the permitting issues in Puerto Rico, the cost of energy, as well as the regulatory framework. So Puerto Rico is being proactive in terms of addressing the obstacles of doing business in order to attract businesses to Puerto Rico. The main mechanism to do this, the incentives. Puerto Rico has a 4% flat tax for manufacturing activities in Puerto Rico, and we provide a 50% tax credit for research and development activities. This is an area that we want to get into, and obviously for the companies that are already in Puerto Rico, like some of the ones that I mentioned, these are areas where they do those activities outside of the island. We want to bring that down to Puerto Rico.
And you've had some new facilities open in the last 6 months, to a year. You've said. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. We've had facilities opened by Merck in the areas of research and development. Okay. We've had expansions of Pioneer Hybrid, which I just mentioned. Blue Pharmaceutical is opening a new plant. We've had different investments in the areas of research and development as well by Pfizer, and Amgen has continued to expand on its plant, which is the second biggest plant that it owns besides its corporate headquarters. Puerto Rico is where it has most of its employees. We're talking about 2,000 employees that Amgen has in Puerto Rico, and that to us means that these companies are committing to the jurisdiction. They understand that on a long-term basis, Puerto Rico will be competitive and will allow for them to be able to do their business. The government, in our turn, will be a facilitator rather than an inhibitor for business, and that's something that we're very clear on. What we want to convey is a message that Puerto Rico is open for business, and we are going to be proactive and aggressive in terms of doing anything that we have to do to be competitive with other jurisdictions and bring business down to Puerto Rico.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.